2, and we're live. Yo, what is going on, you guys? It is your boy Sooplex. We are here. We are live, actually. This is the very first live episode of the Sooplex podcast. I am your host, Tyler Sooplex, joined by my good friend and one of the best out there in the journalism world, Liam Crowley.
Well, thank you for the kind words, Tyler. Excited to be back and excited to be speaking once again from my childhood bed as business took me home for the weekend unexpectedly, but in a very good way. And I'm excited to share what that way is when I can, hopefully at some point next week.
I'm excited to hear about it. I really am. And I mean, Liam is back home and he took work on the go. So I mean, hats off to Liam. He said we're gonna do this podcast. We're gonna talk about Crown Jewel and we're gonna talk about exactly why I am so Liam. I think we'll definitely be talking about what you're going through with this opening match very soon. But first things first, like I said, we are live right now. So shout out to anybody who is in a live chat right now. Me and Liam will be popping in every once in a blue moon to check and see what you guys are saying. If you want to reassure that your super chat gets read on air, you can always feel free to drop a super chat. But in through our matches, we'll be popping in and seeing what everyone's talking about. Just show of hands in the chat. We got Alex Black, Shinobi Sen, I don't know, Eric Ultimate Unleashed, the American Nightmare himself in the chat. What's going on, guys? Did everybody watch Crown Jewel tonight? I'll be honest with you. I did see most of the matches. I did not get a chance to see, technically, Kevin Owens and Randy Orton was not a match, so I can't really say I didn't see it per se. But I did not see the triple threat, and I only caught a little bit of Seth and Bronson. I did catch everything else, though. I was at work. I didn't really get a chance to watch the entire show, so I had to skip around to the important stuff and try to catch all the highlights elsewhere. I'm logged off of Twitter, so I made the unfortunate mistake because I thought, oh, I'm logged out of Twitter. I can't have the show spoiled for me. So I go to Instagram. Literally, the very first thing when I opened up Instagram was, and new Crown Jewel chip. I said, really? This is the first thing I open up to, bro. And then I tried refreshing it to get rid of. The second one was, and new Crown Jewel women's chip. I said, oh, you spoiled back to back. But I still watched it. I said, okay, all right, I'll see what they did here.
Huh. Yeah, you can't go on Instagram, Tyler. Instagram's worse. Instagram, at least with Twitter, you can see text on the screen and like blur your eyes a bit. Instagram, you see someone holding the championship, you're cooked.
Yeah, but I'm not used to stuff getting spoiled from your Instagram. I'm used to being like, okay, if I want to avoid spoilers, stay off of Twitter because on Twitter so much. Will Baker, thank you for subscribing, brother. Me and Liam are going to be talking about Crown Jewel in just a second, but before we do, there is some very important news, and since this is Superplex episode 7, I figured we should talk about this newsroom article here. There has been reports, Liam, over the last, day, I can't really say couple days, but there are going to be some names departing from WWE very soon, 3 of which being Tegan Nox, Indy Hartwell, and Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin, I believe it is a situation where his contract is just not being renewed. With Indy and Tegan, I think it's a little bit of a different situation. I can't confirm too much on if it's a release or what's going on here, but that's what I've been reading. Like I said, I've been off Twitter for the last few days, and I'm probably going to be off Twitter for the rest of the month, just doing an experiment here. But Liam, did you hear similar news, and what are your thoughts on everything going down with these 3 people?
Well, I saw the news. I have no insider information, so I will just analyze the fact that we're losing 3 very hardworking WWE superstars. Baron Corbin, it's tough. He busted his ass in NXT and completely revamped himself. He embraced what it means to burn the ships. That's not a phrase he came up with. I had seen that on motivational gym TikTok before of the meaning behind burn the ships is you take your ship to shore, and as you're leaving on the rowboat to take yourself all the way to shore because you can't fully dock your ship on a beach, you torch your ship, which basically means there's no going back from here. And I don't think that was just a catchphrase. I think he really put his all into his NXT persona. He was red hot on that brand, and unfortunately, he got called up and they didn't have anything for him. And that is That is such a danger that happens with the NXT process nowadays. That's why I don't want to see like Obafemi get called up to Raw right now, like what people are speculating. Because where does he fit in on Raw? I really don't want guys to get called up and then just tread water for 6 to 12 months before they finally get a substantial push. Braun Breaker and Carmelo Hayes got brought up at the right time because look at the programs they're involved with right now. Baron Corbin, I think, was never given a fair shot to really succeed on the main roster this time around with this call up. And I hope this isn't the end for him. I think he would do really well in TNA, like genuinely really well. I would love to see him do stuff on the indies. I'd love to see him in GCW. I'd love to see him go to Defy. I'd love to see him wrestle for House of Glory in New York every now and then. Baron Corbin has a lot still to give to the wrestling industry. The other two names, Indy Hartwell and Tegan Knox, they never really got their fair crack. Like at least Baron Corbin had headlined pay-per-views and had won championships. Tegan Knox, man, I feel for her. I don't know what leg injury she had, whether it was ACL or knee,
Well, the
but
worst part of that is that she injured her legs 3 times over the course of her WWE run. Like she was dealt a really bad hand with her body, and that was really to her detriment more than anything. Not an indictment on her wrestling, not an indictment on her promo skills. Her body just couldn't hold up with it, and to WWE's understanding, it's like, well, if you can't really be trusted to carry a division, why even keep her around? So not to intervene too much with what you were saying, but it's like I understand why she was cut.
yeah, yeah, I understand the thinking behind it. To my knowledge, though, was she injured right now when she got cut?
I don't believe so. I think it was just another situation where they didn't know what to do with her.
Yeah, because I remember too. I remember hearing rumblings that when she was first injured, it was in the inaugural Mae Young Classic or maybe the second one, and she was one of the favorites to like win the
I
whole
think
thing. She might
originally
have,
she was going to win.
yeah, because when she was on the British Indies as Nixon Newell, she was like lighting up the circuit. She was the hottest name in, I believe, Progress and What Culture Pro Wrestling when they were around, and her coming into WWE was a very big deal. And then I feel like because of the injuries and everything, it just kind of really slowed her momentum. And Indy Hartwell too. I thought, she did really good character work. I loved her stuff with Dexter Loomis and Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae in the way and that whole faction. And layoffs suck at the end of the day, whether it be your contract expiring and not getting renewed, or whether you're getting cut for no good reason. A lot of these people are very talented people, and all I can say in a circumstance like this is I feel for you. I know what you're going through, and let that chip on your shoulder grow and be excited to prove people wrong. Be excited to prove WWE wherever you were let go from. Prove them wrong. Go out and light the indies on fire. Go to TNA, take over the knockouts division, take over the men's division. Maybe pop up on AEW and see what you can do there. The world is your oyster when it comes to professional wrestling. We have a lot of people to thank for wrestling being as diverse and open for business as ever right now, and it's a safe place out there for the free agent wrestler. So I look forward to seeing what all three of these names do in their post WWE careers.
Yeah, much like Liam said, I'm looking forward to seeing what everyone does. It was and to elaborate a little bit more on some of the names, we did talk about Tegan Knox, and I said how I think it's a very sad situation because she was a good wrestler. She was pretty okay on the mic, and it's not an indictment on any of those things. It was just her body couldn't hold up. So even though it's upsetting, I understand why WWE wanted to part ways. With Indy Hartwell, I think she really didn't get a fair shake. I mean, she came into WWE in like early 2020, and basically from that point on, she was paired off with Candice LeRae, kind of at first as her underling and then as a tag team, but she's been paired with her this whole time. And I don't recall if they won tag team championship gold. I'd like to assume that they did, but she really never got an opportunity to break off in her own the entire time. And I would talked about this on another podcast a couple of days ago. I swear I'm not cheating on you, Liam. I was just a guest. I talked about this on
I'll
another
let it slide.
podcast.
I'll let it slide.
Okay, I'll never do it again. I was on another podcast a couple of days ago, and I basically said along the lines of with Indy Hartwell, WWE tends to sign a lot of people from overseas as part of their expansions into those markets. So For instance, you sign a Shinsuke Nakamura because in the future, when you go back overseas to Japan, you have a name you can market to that audience and you could potentially move more tickets and sell more seats. It's a big marketing practice. I think everyone who lives in the US understands this to some degree. If you live overseas, you understand that to some degree. These talents overseas are signed so that way you can market them back in the future. With Indy Hartwell, she's Australian. Yes, you can market that to an Australian audience, but when you already have a bigger Australian name in your women's division in Rhea Ripley, it was going to be really hard for Indy Hartwell to excel in that matter. And like I said, it was a little bit unfair, but there's really not much you can do about that situation. So if they were never going to give Indy Hartwell the opportunity to succeed, then this was really the best thing they could have done for both parties. So with Indy Hartwell, I think she'll definitely excel in like a TNA or maybe even an AEW. But I think much like Tegan, this is probably for the best, her leaving. Baron Corbin, I think that's another similar case, but kind of one to Dolph Ziggler, where I said Dolph Ziggler was one of WWE's best like tools in the tool shed, and I don't mean that in a demeaning way, but they kind of could use Baron Corbin as a heater for a lot of the baby faces they really wanted to get over, and that's been his role for almost 10 years. He came into WWE in NXT, and even then when they were pushing him and it seemed like he was going somewhere, they never truly were going to make him the top guy because he didn't have the appeal, he didn't have a certain aesthetic that they wanted, and he wasn't really good on the mic either. He was decent in the ring at the time when he started. So there wasn't really a lot you could do with him except for use him to get other guys who you are trying to get to that next level over. And that's kind of where he got slotted for a long time. And then he got put back into NXT and he started teaming with Braun Breaker. I thought they had a really fun tag team act down there. They were really killing it down in NXT. But when you think about it, he spent 8 years on a roster just to go back to NXT, win the tag team gold, and then it's like, okay, well, what's next for him? Is he going to win the NXT championship? Doesn't really seem like a big upgrade to go from NXT to main roster back to NXT. Like, it was weird when Dolph Ziggler did it. It's a little strange when Baron Corbin did it. So if Baron Corbin has a glass ceiling, and it's very obvious that he did, he's like 39, maybe 40 years old. I think him going elsewhere and trying his hand, I would love to see him try his hand in New Japan and just see what he can do over there.
He's 40 years old. 40.
Okay. Yeah, I would love to see him go to New Japan, try his hand at that, see what he can do, or go to TNA, try his hand, see what he can do. AEW, I can tell you right now, that ain't gonna work. The AEW is not gonna work for him. When you have,
I could see him real quick. I could see him as like a one-off weekly challenger for like the TNT title or international title. That's
I
it.
can see that, but like as far as like Baron Corbin's like, I don't think that's gonna move anybody. I don't think anyone's gonna be like, this is not a game-changing signing. He will be floating in a mid-card basically within a month. You know what I mean? Like when AEW is constantly bringing in WWE names to try to get fans to watch, especially when they just brought in. Oh, and we will talk about this right after the fact, especially when they just brought in a very big name from WWE to follow that up with Baron Corbin. And again, I'm not trying to insult the man, but I don't think anyone's really gonna care after a week. So like I said, Baron Corbin, I think will fare better elsewhere. But for these three guys, I wish them the best. I hope them for the best, and I know they will do great on another circuit. Speaking of AEW, before we hop into Crown Jewel, I just referenced how Baron Corbin getting signed after a big name from WWE. We finally had the AEW debut of Bobby Lashley, who came out after Swerve Strickland's match with Shelton Benjamin. I thought they had a pretty good match. He came out, introduced by MVP, and he attacked Swerve Strickland and Prince Nana, standing tall alongside MVP and Shelton Benjamin. The Hurt Syndicate is now in AEW. This was pretty big, especially considering it got over 1 million views on AEW's YouTube channel. Bobby Lashley's a very well-known name in WWE, in the industry. I think people who don't even watch wrestling anymore, but watch wrestling in the 2000s, remember who Bobby Lashley is, which is why I think it is a a fairly big deal. Is he a game changer? No, I don't think Bobby Lashley is going to be, you know, bringing in big box office numbers for them, moving the needle. I don't see Bobby Lashley as that. I think he's a great asset for the company that could advance really good storylines like the Hurt Syndicate and what they can do. The issue they might run into, and I don't think this is a long-term thing, just a short-term thing, is that they already do have a top faction in, you know, the Blackpool Combat Club. So it's going to be a little hard for them to navigate having two heel factions without having a lot of interlude or having too much like, we're going to keep Bobby Lashley at just the right level underneath of Jon Moxley, because I'd imagine that very soon, probably even as soon as Jon Moxley drops the title to whomever, Bobby Lashley might go after that person. But until that happens, Bobby Lashley is going to be at a certain level and not at the top. Now, I'm not saying he needed to be in the main event right away. Swerve Strickland being his first feud, I think, is really good considering Swerve Strickland was the previous AEW World Champion. But it's something I think people should keep in mind and keep their eye on, because he is right now de facto number 2. You could even argue number 3 underneath Jon Moxley. But Liam Crowley, I need to ask you, what are your thoughts on Bobby Lashley coming into AEW, and what can you see for his future in this company?
I'm really happy they presented him as a big deal. I was worried at first that MVP coming into AEW was almost going to have to fight to make the Hurt Business feel like a big deal again, because it was very clear that WWE just didn't want to reunite the Hurt Business, and MVP, Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin all collectively wanted to do the things that they had planned with that faction before they all retire. They're all in the twilights of their careers very clearly. And so it almost felt like AEW was like, yeah, sure, we'll host the Hurt Business, but we aren't necessarily going to make the Hurt Business a priority. At least that's the vibe I kind of got, because AEW has so many factions already, so many massive storylines happening right now. And so I was like, I didn't know where Hurt Business would fit in. And I'm glad to have been proven wrong. I had some worries when, like, you know, MVP's debut happened without music. It did happen at Grand Slam, so that was promising. But then Shelton Benjamin's debut happened in a backstage segment, and I was like, I don't know. Bobby Lashley getting the lights out treatment, the amazing new music, the lights, the suits, closing Dynamite,
red carpet,
taking out the last world champion before, or, you know, 2 world champions ago, Swerve Strickland. Awesome. So I'm stoked to see what happens with the Hurt Business. I'm also excited to see what this evolution of the faction looks like. I want to see what new members they end up recruiting. I think this is a perfect place for Powerhouse Hobbs to slot in. Maybe have the Hurt Business operate kind of like an evolution and have some young guys in there. And, you know, who's going to be the Randy Orton and Batista of AEW's version of the Hurt Business? I think that there are a couple guys that could claim that spot. So very promising, excited, optimistic, and this overall too was a very well-rounded episode of Dynamite. I think we're in a good spot with AEW as we go into full gear and approach the end of 2024.
Yeah, I agree with everything Liam just said. My only, and I try not to be like, oh, this one thing or but I do have just a little worry, and that is that Bobby Lashley is the one thing, and not the only one thing, but one of the few things that Tony Khan has seemingly had a sketchy track record of booking in his company. And that is a powerhouse. Tony Khan, when it comes to booking these big brute guys who aren't flippy dippy, quote unquote, or your Will Ospreays, or your all-rounded MJFs, or your, you know, ground and pound Jon Moxley, if they are not guys that are easily like flexible and adjustable, it seems like Tony Khan doesn't quite know how to, you know, work them into a main event picture and keep them there. I mean, earliest example might be Lance Archer. He's one of the biggest guys they signed in the very beginning, and we've seen ever since then, Lance Archer's been very on and off, in and out of AEW. Can't really get a hold on when he's going to show up next. The biggest example is Wardlow. I mean, this is a guy who was red hot at one point in AEW with MJF and then feuding with MJF. And then as soon as he got into this TNT Championship picture, it was back and forth flip-flopping with Samoa Joe and Powerhouse Hobbs, and then he became a lost cause. Then they paired him off with the Undisputed Kingdom, and then that he was even more of a lost cause beyond this point. And you could even look back at other Powerhouse names, like even Powerhouse Hobbs. You just mentioned his name. He's another guy where it seemed like Tony Khan wanted to do something with him, and then he just kind of stopped. And he won a TNT Championship, but then it flip-flopped with Samoa Joe again. He got kind of put into that storyline with Wardlow and Joe. So when I see Bobby Lashley's in AEW, I say, oh, that's awesome. But then I'm like, ooh, I'm a little concerned because have we ever had a Powerhouse AEW World Champion? No. Have we had Powerhouse TNT champions? Yes.
Samoa Joe?
Do you count Samoa Joe?
I think Samoa Joe is...
You would say Samoa Joe's a powerhouse? Because I don't know. Samoa Joe's a bigger guy, but I wouldn't call him a powerhouse, though.
I mean, he's the closest that we've gotten.
He's the closest you've gotten, but would you designate him as a powerhouse? I wouldn't.
I would designate him as a big, meaty man.
Yeah, I feel like when you talk about Samoa Joe, he's more of an all-rounder performer. That just so happens to be on the bigger side. I wouldn't call him a powerhouse. Powerhouse Hobbs is a powerhouse. Miro is a powerhouse. Lance Archer, Wardlow, those are powerhouses. Bobby Lashley is a powerhouse. A guy who could throw you around, and that's really all he is there to do, is to make himself look impressionable, make himself look strong and vigorous, and this is a guy I do not want to mess with. That is Bobby Lashley's intent, and when it comes to those guys, I don't know if Tony Khan just isn't confident in them, or if he only sees them as a way to make the smaller guys have a bigger battle to fight in the end. But like I said, hopefully with Bobby Lashley being the most prominent powerhouse he's hired, we will see him actually try and get, not even that try, because I don't want to say Tony Khan never tries. It's just keeping the momentum going and not losing interest, because I feel like Tony Khan, as a brother with ADHD, there's a lot of ADHD booking with Tony Khan where he has a guy he's has interest in, and then he loses interest, and then he just stops and goes to the next person. A lot of ADHD booking with Tony Khan. Hopefully Bobby Lashley is not the on the end of it, but I have high hopes. Just, you know, a little bit of a worry. But outside of that, Liam, I think that covers about all the AEW news I could think about. Let's finally get into Crown Jewel that just ended a few hours ago. So we're going to start things off with the first match, and I'm sure Liam's going to have some things to say about this as well as myself, and that is the Bloodline versus the Bloodline. Now you're probably asking yourself, wait a minute, it's not Survivor Series. And you're right, it's not Survivor Series. WWE decided we're going to do this match a few weeks early. Why? I guess because we need to give Bloodline 2.0 the win before they eventually lose in the actual War Games match. But even then, you ask yourself, why? But Bloodline versus Bloodline, we had the team of Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, and Tama Tonga versus the team of Jimmy Uso, Jey Uso, and Roman Reigns in 3-on-3 action. As a match, I thought it was decent. You know, we walked through this revolving door with Roman Reigns, at least over the past year, where he has a bunch of tag team matches and okay, Liam, can you recall when's Roman Reigns' last singles match, not counting WrestleMania 40 before that? When was his last singles match? Before
singles is 1-on-1,
yes.
Duh.
It's not Cody versus at WrestleMania 39, is it?
No. Well, Jay was SummerSlam 23.
That might have been the last one, because I don't think he wrestled it. No. It was Crown Jewel. It was Crown Jewel 2023 against LA Knight, because that's what led into
yes.
Fatal 4-Way. So yeah, his last singles match before Cody was LA Knight this time last year. So in the last calendar year, Roman Reigns has only had 2 singles matches. I mean, we could talk about a Brock Lesnar schedule from 2014. I feel like this might be arguably worse, but he's on TV enough that people don't complain about it, and that's the only loop he really has around this whole working less schedule, which, might I say, I think he's earned it. But, you know, just a little note I want to throw in there. Roman Reigns involved in another tag team match. You know, I think everyone got the moves in that they needed to. Again, we see Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu sharing the ring with each other, but on a very smaller scale where they're not really giving too much away. I would like to assume sometime in the near future we're going to get a Roman Reigns versus Jacob Fatu match. I do feel like there was some novelty in Roman Reigns getting pinned by Jacob Fatu that may no longer be there. Um, and that is because through all the fight that these two men have, it was Solo Sikoa who used the Samoan spike onto Roman Reigns, I believe 2 or 3 times back to back, to get a pinfall victory over Roman Reigns. That makes Solo Sikoa only the 3rd person to pin Roman Reigns clean in, no, 4th person to pin Roman Reigns clean since 2019. The other 3 being Eric Rowan, Baron Corbin, Jey Uso, and Cody Rhodes. So that makes him number 5. So he's in the elite 5 right now, people who pin Roman Reigns. And given that Solo Sikoa was in this, pretty semi-big story with Cody Rhodes for the better part of the whole summer, where he was almost struggling to beat Cody Rhodes at the time and not even beating Cody Rhodes but one time, it really makes you wonder, like, was Solo the right guy to be pinning Roman Reigns in this situation? Like, yeah, it is a big deal in a lot of ways going into War Games. Like, there's a lot of adverse. Someone commented in the chat. They did the adversity camera angle with Roman Reigns at Crown Jewel. And basically what that means is, if you guys saw WrestleMania 39, when Cody Rhodes lost to Roman Reigns, there was the shot of Cody Rhodes looking dejected and upset with himself as you see Roman Reigns posing with the titles in the background. They did the same thing at WrestleMania 40 Night 1 when Cody Rhodes got pinned by The Rock. And I guess now they're doing a little callback to that, because at the very end of the match, they did that same angle, but with Roman Reigns this time, and in the background, you see Solo Sikoa and the Bloodline putting up the ones. And I saw that angle. I knew what they were doing. It just felt a little... I'm trying to find the word for it, but I'm going to say off for right now. It felt a little off. And the reason why I say that is because usually you want to reserve a spot like that for someone that you're trying to have sympathy for, someone that you're really trying to build up for, to like getting that big eventual win. And I feel like this doesn't work for Roman Reigns. In this position where Roman Reigns is in, that does not work. Because he is still number 1 in his company. I know Cody Rhodes is the champion, but Roman Reigns is the top guy. And one pinfall should not have him looking like he's about to spiral and crash out. Especially considering that he has gotten pinned by Cody Rhodes like literally 4 months ago. The other reason being that Roman Reigns, for all that we talk about with him being the tribal chief, the only tribal chief, this is also a man who was a former Universal Champion and had a lot to offer to this company. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know why I lost my train of thought, but I did. Liam Crowley, I'm going to have you take over from here. I was about to go into a whole rant and then I blanked. I don't know what happened. But Liam, what are your thoughts on this match? Roman Reigns getting pinned. Where do you see this all going?
This match should have never happened, and I'm so angry at the trajectory of the Bloodline story right now. The Bloodline story has been the longest and most intricate and most intimately detailed and meticulously planned out story that WWE has literally ever done. Because sure, there have been storylines before where we reference events from 10, 15 years ago, but never have we had a story start back in August of 2020, over 4 years ago, and have new chapters unfold every single week, and new books be told every year, and new spin-off shows and series and everything, blah, 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 blah. Getting to Jey Uso challenging Roman for the world title at SummerSlam 2023 took 3 years to pay off that story. Getting Cody Rhodes finishing his story took arguably 2 years, if we're going to count the promo on the Raw after Mania after he returned. or we could say a year and 4 months after he won the Rumble for the first time and fully set the story in motion. And the point is, the crucial moments of the Bloodline story take time. Sami Zayn, I didn't even talk about the Sami Zayn chapter. That whole thing started and ended over the course of an entire calendar year. And the prospect, Tyler, of reuniting the original Bloodline was so cool to me because I was like, yes, this is the next slow burn story within the Bloodline saga that I am excited to watch unfold week after week and get segments after segments building up that tension the same way we got the trial of Sami Zayn and tribal combat and stuff like that. Like those segments meant so much towards the eventual payoff. Jey Uso is the most fascinating character on the WWE main roster right now. And I say that with full personal belief in that statement. His whole trauma of being manipulated by Roman and having no personal value and needing to seek validation from his tribal chief, he eventually was able to break off, sure, lose the ultimate battle against Roman, but be willing to defect, go to Raw, make his own name, beat his brother at WrestleMania, and then like find happiness. Like the whole like it's just me who's day one-ish, the Yeet Man and all that. At first I was like, man, this is such a disgrace to Jay's character. He's becoming one note. He's so much better than this. And then I realized I'm looking at it the wrong way. No, he went through all the mud to get to this point of just having fun with the crowd and being over on his own and not needing no bloodline to become his own guy. And he showed that and he proved that by winning the damn Intercontinental title. And what should have happened after winning the Intercontinental title was he should have been approached by Jimmy and Roman, just like they started to do on Raw a couple weeks ago, and him saying, man, I don't want none of that business. I outgrew that. I don't need you guys anymore. I actually have my own responsibilities. I'm the damn Intercontinental Champion. And again, they got it right by having Jacob Fatu and the new Bloodline cost him the IC title, forcing him to get roped back in. But still, there should be frustration and anger of, damn it, I finally have my own thing going. I finally have my own person going. I feel proud of who I am out of the context of my very toxic family. And y'all roped me back in. But I don't want to just like come back in and like let all be forgiven. I hate when wrestlers do this. When Kofi lost the WWE Championship and was clapping along the next week, no, you should be angry. You should be pissed the F off that you no longer have this title. And so him just like moving on so easily from losing the IC title and forgiving Roman Reigns because he said yeet once on SmackDown. What a disgrace. What an absolute disgrace to this story. Jay should not have forgiven Roman for weeks. We should have gone into this match with Jay saying, I'll think about it or something, and we go in seeing it's Jimmy and Roman versus the new Bloodline. Will Jay show up? That's the big question mark. Jay never fully forgives Roman. He waits, and then at the midnight hour when things are looking dire, Jay comes down, comes to help, but it's ultimately too late. Roman takes the pin or something like that, and then Jay starts to feel a little bit of responsibility, and maybe that's what plants the seed of, all right, fine, maybe I'll stand by my brothers again at Survivor Series. But damn it, I don't even give a crap about the result of this match of Roman getting pinned because I'm so frustrated that it happened in the first place. So the fact that I think it's a dumb booking decision to have Solo pin Roman. I think it should have been, the match should have never happened. But the fact that I was so angry going in, I'm not even angry at the stupid outcome. And then the whole Sami Zayn variable of everything. Sammy's another one who they should have not. Why are we rushing these guys back into this storyline? Are we not forgetting, like, Roman Reigns? I get it, he's cool. We put the ones up now, and he says yeet, and he's got this banger entrance theme, and he's got all this aura, and he's got the tattoos and the hair, and we want to cheer him now because we want Roman, OTC. I get that and all, but in the context of who he is as a character, as someone who appreciates cinema, Tyler, like yourself, this dude is a manipulative asshole. Why are we just forgiving 4 years of abuse to his cousins and his brothers because he's just like, well, no, I mean, we the ones, though. I don't know. It frustrates me, Tyler. The Bloodline story continues to have its ebbs and flows. When the Bloodline story is good, it's freaking great. But when it treads water, man, is it the most frustrating piece of television to watch in weekly wrestling. That's my rant over.
Hey, I love it. 100%, Liam. And as you just said, thank you for bringing this up because that was actually the second point I wanted to get to before I lost my train of thought. You said Roman Reigns is manipulative. He has done all of this stuff to Jey Uso. Why has sympathy for him? That was my second point that I lost my train of thought on. The first point being Roman Reigns. I mean, he is a guy who has been on top for so long. It's so hard to conceive that he is the underdog. He really almost can't be ever the underdog when you've been on top for so long. But my second point was Roman Reigns is quite literally still a manipulative asshole. He just gets cheered now. Like, Roman Reigns is not a baby face. Like, Jey Uso has not really forgiven him for any of his actions. Roman Reigns doesn't display any qualities of a good guy or a hero. He doesn't display any of those qualities. He still is the same person. He just has a little bit of sympathy from the crowd because he lost, but he's the same person. So why would I sympathize with somebody who is an asshole and manipulative and it does not deserve the family that is choosing him again after all this stuff that he has done to them? Why would I sympathize with him? So when they did that shot with Roman Reigns, I thought it was off. I thought it was odd. I'm like, what? Why would I feel bad? Why should I feel bad for Roman Reigns in this situation? Like, okay, he gets his ring back against Solo Sikoa at War Games. Whoop-de-doo. And then I guess the third reason is it's Solo fucking Sikoa, bro. I understand Solo pinned Roman Reigns here and now, but it's still the same guy who lost to Cody Rhodes like 2 or 3 times in the last couple months. It's still the same guy who the fans still aren't entirely convinced is the next leader of the Bloodline, isn't a current leader of the Bloodline. Still the same guy who many fans will say that Jacob Fatu is better than in every which way. And I'm supposed to feel bad that you are the one to pin. I'm sorry. I can't buy into that ending. And we also talk about Sami Zayn, which I did not bring up at my point. Sami Zayn coming out at the very end of this match also I thought was very odd because I'm like, just last week or this week, he was talking to Solo Sikoa, and like a week later, he just comes out and he's attacking it. Well, no, here's how it went down. So Sami comes out. I believe he's eyeing down Roman or Solo or one of the two. And the way this planned out was very stupid. I don't know why it came out this way. But like Roman's on one side, Sami's on the other side, Solo's in the middle. And I'm sitting here like, okay, is Sami about to tease running out Solo but hit Roman instead? No, Roman and Sami both run at Solo. I'm like, okay. And then they both go for their finishers. But Sami hits his on Roman. He hits a haluva kick, like a jumping haluva kick to Roman Reigns. And it's like, oh my God, did Sami do that on purpose? I'm like, what? What? I mean, first of all, I'm not understanding why Sami even came out here. Like, yeah, he and Jey are on good terms. But why is Sami out here? Roman has not apologized to Sami. Jimmy has not apologized to Sami. Why would he be out here? Jey was in no imminent danger for Sami to have come out. I'm sorry. Roman was the one getting beat down, not Jey. So I'm not understanding why this warranted that. But my assumption, and I'm sure it's the correct assumption, is that they were in Saudi Arabia, so they wanted Sami Zayn to be out there and be present. And that's why he ended up in this segment. And the similar thing to my chat just said is probably why they had this match in the first place. It's because they're in Saudi Arabia, and what the prince wants, the prince is going to get. One thing you will notice with these Crown Jewels shows is that Roman Reigns has been on every single one since the very beginning. I'm sure he was wanted on the show, and WWE's not going to tell them no. So we had to be on the show, and that's why we got this 6-man tag. That's my belief. And that's likely the only reason I could think of. And again, we are coming out of this with a Bloodline loss, OG Bloodline loss, going into Survivor Series. I said it multiple times, and I will say it again. They are not putting The Rock in War Games. The match is laid out right here in front of your face. It is going to be Solo, Tama, Tongaloa, and Jacob Fatu versus Roman, Jimmy, Jey, and Sami. Now, I got one wrong because I thought Cody would be involved, but he's not. They're not throwing The Rock in this match. The Rock is not going to be involved. It is a 4-on-4, and that's all it really needs to be. They're going to get to this match. Roman's going to get the big victory over Solo Sikoa, as if the fans are going to rejoice. And also another thing about that, like when Solo pinned Roman, there was like almost no like shock, like imminent shock from the crowd. Like I heard some gasp, but like you would have thought this would have been a bigger moment for them. It really didn't feel that way, did it?
No, and that's like those are the Saudi crowds tend to be like that, you know, like they pop for. I remember what was it? Did we get a Randy Orton John Cena match at Crown Jewel? No. It was Randy Orton. No, it was Triple H and John Cena at like either Crown Jewel or Greatest Royal Rumble. Like John Cena and Triple H wrestled each other at a Saudi show at some point in the past 5 or 6 years, and that crowd popped like it was freaking the greatest match of all time. And you know, both guys are great, but very much past their primes when they were wrestling at that moment. And yeah, for the actual story moments, they don't react like the US or European crowds would.
No, not at all. But it's kind of funny we say that because I felt like this is the most hype I have seen the Saudi crowd in any Crown Jewel show I've ever seen. I mean, they were doing a little bump up, bump down with Jey Uso saying it's me, Us, chanting Cody Rhodes' theme song. This was a very hype crowd, I felt like. So when it came to this moment, they didn't really pop. I was like, oh, fart in church, very flat finish. But hey, we move along. This is just a crazy situation WWE is finding themselves in that I'm sure by the time we get to Survivor Series, hopefully we have a clearer vision of what WrestleMania is going to look like. But at least for right now, they're still trying to get a little bit more mileage out of Bloodline versus Bloodline 2.0. We move on from here. Following this match was a 4-woman tag for the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. It was Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill versus Piper Niven and Chelsea. Oh, I guess you can't do it anymore because Samantha Urban's not here. Chelsea Green. Versus Damage Control's Io Sky and Kairi Sane versus the Metaphors, Jakara Jackson and Last Legend. Listen, I'm so happy that my girls of the Metaphor are on the main roster. I don't quite know if they're officially on the main roster or not, but it sure seems like it. The fact that they were on the Saudi show. They were on NXT like literally last week, and here they are. But I'm happy to see this. We got to see Lash and Jade. I thought that shit was popping. I thought that was awesome. I can't wait to see them have a singles match in the future. We got to see a lot of, you know, good. I thought this was actually a fun tag match. I actually enjoyed this a lot. And Jade and Bianca, they got the win. They retained their titles. What's next for Jade and Bianca? I would like to assume that they are going to drop the titles to the Metaphor. They've been involved with the Metaphor in a tag team title match a couple weeks ago. Now the Metaphor was not pinned. I would like to assume this is building to a match at Survivor Series and the Metaphor wins. And then you start the road to Jade versus Bianca at WrestleMania, which I believe is the end game. They are just kind of waiting it out for the time being because why rush into it when we still have 6 more months to go? Liam, what did you think of the women's tag if you did catch it?
I didn't watch this match. I don't really care about the women's tag titles. I know that they are doing what they can to rebuild them, but it's the boy who cried wolf too many times with the women's tag titles. Like the momentum starts and stops. You think Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler are going to reignite the division, and then they lose the titles like 2 weeks later. Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill only just won them back, so who knows? Who knows what happens? But we all know this is eventually leading to a breakup angle between Bianca and Jade. They'll probably have a match at Mania, and the tag titles are almost like secondary to their impending feud. So I can't really say I have a lot of investment in that division right now. And here's hoping the next champions, I don't know, put some life into it.
Oh, no, I have no investment in the women's tag titles. I have investment in Bianca, Jade, Jakara, and Lash. That's it. So when I talk about them for the tag titles, I really just mean I want to see these 4 women face off against each other because they're beautiful black women that can wrestle, and I love to see it. But yeah, that was the match. We move on. Seth Rollins versus Bronson Reed. This is one of the matches I didn't get a chance to catch in full. What I did see seemed pretty hype. I saw a lot of people telling me this was a good match. That Bronson Reed was popping off. I heard Bronson Reed's been pretty hot on Monday Night Raw the last few weeks, and I'm very happy to hear about that. When he first came on to the main roster on Raw, it seemed like he was dwindling for quite some time. They wanted to do something with him, but it wasn't the right time. This is the time after he finally beat Braun Strowman in their rivalry and, got the big win. Now we're moving on to Seth Rollins. However, Seth Rollins got the win. Now, I didn't see how it ended. Maybe it was a screw finish. Maybe it wasn't. However, I feel like with the momentum that Bronson Reed had, it's a bit of an odd choice to have Seth Rollins get the win. Seth did not need to get the win in this match. If this is going to be a feud, you're going to see, 2 to 3 matches out of, and I can easily see them running a rematch at Survivor Series. What's the rush in getting the win on Seth Rollins right now? I didn't really think this was necessary. Now, I know they did confirm they're going to be having a Fatal 4-Way match on Monday Night Raw this coming week with Seth and Sheamus and a couple other people to determine the next World Heavyweight Championship contender. But unless Seth is going to win, I don't really see the reason why Seth needed to get the win in this match. You could have had Bronson in that match, and whoever wins. Just odd booking choice, especially if they're running the match back and Bronson gets the win. It's like the heel getting the last victory just never sits right with me, But Liam, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, Seth getting the win here was kind of odd because I feel like they're building up Bronson Reed in a way that warrants stacking victories. I don't know how much Seth really needed this win right now. And yeah, I don't really have much to say on it. I think it's just an odd booking decision. I'm not mad at it because I personally still am not super invested in Bronson Reed and I like Seth. So from like a personal standpoint, go Seth. But from like a booking standpoint, yeah, not feeling it.
Yeah, not really understanding that one either. Like I said, hopefully when they have the next match, Bronson wins. Maybe he wins back to back if they have 3, which they probably will. Well, actually, I don't know if they really can have 3 because after Survivor Series, the next pay-per-view isn't until February because the Rumble is in February 1st. If I'm correct, right? There is no December
Well,
pay-per-view.
they're treating Saturday night's main event like a pay-per-view
Uh,
in December.
okay, sure. Yeah, I guess we can pretend. We can pretend that it is one, even though it's not. Yeah, Seth Rollins gets the win. Does anyone have the exact lineup for Raw? Let me look this up real quick because I know they did announce it's going to be a Fatal 4-Way match. I just don't know all the competitors. Seth Rollins, Damian Priest, Dominic Mysterio, and Sheamus. Okay, so that is the Fatal 4-Way. And the winner will get a championship match against Gunther at a later date. They did not announce that it will be at Survivor Series. That would be my assumption, considering they're not doing a Survivor Series match anymore. Now it's War Games, and the Bloodline is going to occupy War Games, so where is everyone else going to go? If it's Gunther versus Seth, I mean, sure, we've been there, done that kind of already. Gunther versus Damian, been there, done that. Gunther, Sheamus, been there, done that. The only fresh one in here will be Gunther and Dominic. Which heel versus heel is going to be interesting. I actually would be interested to see Gunther versus Dominic and how that plays out. So in some ways, I actually kind of hope Dominic wins, but I feel like it probably will be Seth, knowing them. Liam, any early prediction for that since we're on the topic?
Yeah, I saw the lineup and I'm kind of in a toss-up right now. Sheamus and Gunther is always like a easy match to pull from, but I don't think Sheamus has warranted being a world title challenger right now. So, I don't know. I think Punk is going to return and still get the contender spots. Maybe it's a swerve. I'm going to say CM Punk sneaks in, makes it a 5-way, and he becomes number 1 contender.
Okay. Oh, wait, you think he becomes number 1 contender somehow?
Yeah, like he inserts himself into the match, or I don't know. There's an easy way to kind of build the inevitable Seth feud off of Punk, like stealing his number 1 contendership or something.
Okay. I mean, I would figure they might wait on that match until like the Rumble. We can build that up, but I could see that too. Moving back onto Crown Jewel, we had Liv Morgan versus Nia Jax for the WWE Women's Crown Jewel title. It was Women's Champion versus Women's Champion. And I thought this was a very weird match. The chemistry was very off at points. Some botches. A lot of interference, especially on the end of... And this is kind of the thing when you have two heels, is that they have to try to, outwork the other in some way. And, you had the inclusion of Dominic and the inclusion of Raquel Rodriguez. And then here comes Tiffany Stratton teasing a cash-in. Which, let me just say, I am so tired of the tease cash-in spot now. Triple H has done this spot to death. It's like every pay-per-view, every single one for the last 2 years. If they're... Whoa. Okay, someone is popping off fireworks outside. I am so sorry about that. Scared the shit out of me and scared the shit out of my cats. My poor babies were running. But anyway, getting back to my point. My apologies again. I don't know why that just happened. But getting back to what I was saying. What was I saying now? They threw me off. What was I saying, Liam?
Weird chemistry.
Oh, yeah. Very odd chemistry between these two. It's one thing when it's one heel, but when it's two heels, they're trying to outwork the other and out-heel the other. And you had that with Raquel and Dominic and then Tiffany, who teased her cash-in. And that's what I was saying, that I'm so sick and tired of the tease cash-in spots. Triple H has been doing this every pay-per-view where there is a money in the... Are we serious? This is the second time, and I'm on the same point. Okay. If I say this point again, the fireworks better not go off, bro. Cody Rhodes needs to chill. The match is over. I don't need to hear your fireworks anymore, Cody. We get it. You won. Spoiler alert. Okay. One more time. One more time. I'm sick and tired of the cash-ins. The tease cash-ins from... They're still going off. Liam, continue on. I'm going to mute for a second because the fireworks are still going off and it's right next to my window. I don't know why they're doing fireworks right next to my window, but they are. Continue on.
The tease cash-ins, I mean, they're part of Money in the Bank. I feel like you need to keep doing them in order to make the inevitable cash-in feel special. Because sometimes we just get a cash-in and it feels like it was never part, like there was no story building up to it. Obviously with Damian Priest, the tease cash-ins got so much that we were like frustrated. But then the payoff was awesome. A cash-in at WrestleMania, the whole moment with Drew and Punk and Seth and everything. So I'm okay with the tease cash-ins. Odd choice of a winner, though. I really thought Nia Jax was going to win this, and I think the fact that Liv Morgan won is part of the reason why Cody won the main event, because they weren't going to have both winners come from Raw, both winners come from SmackDown. So as soon as Liv Morgan won, I was like, damn, Gunther really is in danger. And when it came to all four of the competitors in the Crown Jewel title matches, whatever you want to call them, the one who I thought needed the win most was Gunther. So my logic would have been Gunther takes priority victory, and as a result, give Nia Jax the win because you need to split them between Raw and SmackDown. And Liv Morgan is a conniving and cheating heel, so her losing doesn't really make that much of a difference. I think they could have done a good thing by giving the two powerhouse champions, Gunther and Nia Jax, victories tonight. I disagree with both winners of the Crown Jewel matches, but hey, they're not real championships. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter, except the fact that these champions did get pinned. And Liv Morgan, she did cheat, so her loss, Nia Jax's loss, is a little bit lessened in that Gunther lost clean, and we'll talk about that when we get to that match. But yes, Liv Morgan walked out with the victory. She is the Crown Jewel champion, which I'm sure she will celebrate for all of one night, because it will not matter when we get to Raw on Monday. Following this, we had LA Knight and Andrade versus Carmelo Hayes. I said that like it was a 2-on-1 match. Andrade versus Carmelo Hayes versus LA Knight. Yeah. Your mic is really low. Okay, hold on. Let me make sure that... Okay, hopefully you can hear me better. I think the mic got turned down by accident. Yeah, triple threat match, U.S. title. Did not catch it, I'll be honest with you. But I do see that LA Knight retained his championship. Um, I can't really comment too much on his title reign as U.S. champion because I have not really been watching SmackDown on a weekly basis to really judge of that. All I can tell you is that Andrade and Carmelo Hayes have been having this, best of 7 series on SmackDown. They've been having good matches from what I've seen. And the last match, which was the best of 7 of the 7, ended in a no contest, which led into this match. And then both men lost, so seemed kind of pointless at the end. But Liam, what were your thoughts?
I think it's good to build up your kind of bag of like high profile mid carders, and I really like what they've done with Andrade and Carmelo to make it feel like there's an actual division here vying for the U.S. title. LA Knight, his reign has been solid. I think it's been more about an excuse for him to have something to do on weekly TV right now because he is that good, he is that over, and he shouldn't just be placed in random one-off feuds just to give him something to do. So I'm glad he has this championship, and I don't think his reign should end until they have a concrete plan to put him in the world title scene. Like Gunther lost the IC title in April, and there was a concrete plan to get him to world champion status by August. So when LA Knight loses the US title, I really hope that they have a concrete plan to make him a world champion within 3 to 4 months of him losing that title. Until that happens, keep him with the US title. I think the reign is still young. I think he has plenty more interesting feuds that he can be a part of, and I'm always happy when LA Knight's on my screen.
Following this, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton were supposed to have a match, but it ended before it even started. These two were brawling. Adam Pearce caught an RKO. I was joking with Liam. I was calling him Nick the Bitch all this because this man went really. This man went. Are you hearing this?
No,
You
I don't know why you keep pausing. For those who don't know, by the way, for those who are watching, I also can't see Tyler's face because his camera is linked up to
OBS,
the YouTube stream. So whenever he stops talking, I'm like, did we lose connection? What's going on here?
No, I don't know if even you guys at home can hear this because I do have a muffler on my microphone, but there are fireworks going off, randomly going off. That's why I stopped the first 2 times during our last point because every time I went to talk about the cash-in, fireworks just started going off. You can hear, okay, thank God people at home can hear this because I don't want you guys to think that I'm losing my mind. Yes, fireworks are just randomly going off, and it's catching me off guard every single time. But yes, like I was saying, I thought I was calling him Nick the Bitch all of this because it's like, man, Nick Aldis acts so hard when it comes to these talent, like, talking to them directly, very matter of fact, very straightforward, I will punish you if you go too far. But then as soon as he comes face to face with Randy Orton after Adam Pearce got RKO, he went running. I said, oh, damn. I thought Nick Aldis was about to get in that bitch and start working Randy Orton. We about to see Nick versus Randy Orton for a hot few seconds, but no, he went running. So I was very disappointed. Very disappointed. But yeah, Kevin Owens, Randy, they battle it out for a bit. I'm sure it's going to lead to a straight up singles match between the two at Survivor Series, because why give it away right now when Survivor Series is at the very end of the month? I think one thing I'm going to say, and I'm starting to question if they are actually going to do this. I think a lot of fans were excited about Cody Rhodes winning the WWE Championship back in April because of the prospect that we could get Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton for the title. And the closer we get to the end of the year, the more it seems like they're not going to do it. And once the year's over, it's WrestleMania season. And I don't see them doing Randy versus Cody at WrestleMania. I could be wrong. But it seems like the path is Cody and Rock to some degree. It seems like that's been the pathway ever since WrestleMania 40. And if they're not doing Randy versus Cody at Survivor Series, which seems to be Kevin versus Randy, the next destination after this is what is it? Saturday's Night Main Event, and I that's an odd place to do Cody versus Randy. So I don't see it being there. The only other destination would be the Royal Rumble. And 2 months after the Rumble's WrestleMania, I would like to think that Randy versus Cody is a bigger feud that's not going to be the lead into WrestleMania. So, Liam, do you think there is still room for them to pull off this feud? And if so, when?
It's a really good question because at first I was like, oh no, Randy and Cody will obviously be at Mania, but then the whole Rock variable of like, it feels like we might do Rock, Roman, and Cody in a threat. I have always liked the idea of the pipeline being, again, referencing my fantasy booking idea of Rock returning at Survivor Series to cost the original Bloodline, and then like Roman takes a hiatus, and Rock and Cody at Rumble, and you have Roman return at the Rumble to cost Rock, and then set up Rock and Roman in a singles for Mania 41, and then you do Roman or Randy and Cody in that blood feud, and you can get to Cody and Kevin, which is still a match that obviously has to happen. You can get to that by Saturday night's main event, maybe. I don't know. That's kind of my fantasy booking idea, but the Cody Randy story is a super, super, super slow burn. So if they want to save it till SummerSlam 2025, that's also cool. It's a high profile feud, but at the end of the day, and maybe this is like my attention span speaking, but I really like when the B shows have one big match. Like WrestleMania is cool and all, but sometimes when you have like 6 different massive feuds culminating at once on one show, some of the ones that should feel special don't feel as special because there's just so many happening at once. So I really like the idea of like, oh, we're going to do Backlash, Cody versus Randy. And you have a bunch of filler programs leading up to it, but still that main event feels like that much bigger of a deal. So there's a lot of different directions, and that's a good problem to have because for a long time, WWE was grasping at straws trying to put money matches together. And the WrestleMania 41 card right now, there's like 6 different versions of it that could happen, and they're all bangers. So it's an exciting time.
Do you think it's a feud that doesn't require a championship?
It's a good question.
Because if you're talking about SummerSlam 2025, there's the potential that Cody isn't champion by then.
That's true. I think it does require the title because all the teases we've had so far is Randy looking at the title. Exactly. So that needs to get paid off.
Yeah, and that's why I say, going into WrestleMania, you only have like 2 other destinations, and it seems like we may not have time to actually fit it in. So it's gonna be a very interesting journey to see where they take it and if they even do it. I do think if they don't do it, it's a bit of a missed opportunity, especially with all the teases we've been getting. But lastly, we will get. Well, before we get into that, I do see a couple comments here. TJ Black, just in time, says they're sick of the Saudi shows. Crown Jewel needs to go. WWE gets hand over fist millions of dollars from these Crown Jewel shows, so they are not going anywhere, unfortunately.
Well, they're on a 10-year deal that expires in 2028, and to my knowledge, it has not been renewed. So they're not going anywhere for the next 4 years, but they could be gone after 4 years. We don't know.
A figure Sooplex. If you could see an A24 movie on any WWE wrestler, who would you choose? This is a trap question. I know what you want me to say, and I'm not going to say the answer because that wrestler is no longer living. Any active wrestler on the WWE roster right now, give me the story of Roman Reigns. Directed by A24. That could go. Imagine the Bloodline directed by A24. Like, who would you even have directing that? Oh, maybe Sean Durkin.
I still want to see an Eddie Guerrero biopic with Pedro Pascal playing Eddie Guerrero. I think it's too perfect to pass up.
That would rock, bro. That would rock.
Or a Paul Heyman biopic with Paul Giamatti playing Paul Heyman.
Yep. Hell yeah, bro.
It'd be cool. You could do his whole life. You could do from ECW all the way up to everything creative with WWE, and yeah, there's a lot you could do with Paul Heyman.
Exactly. Main event time. Cody Rhodes versus Gunther for the Crown Jewel Championship. This is a match I was very excited for because for the last 2 years, Cody Rhodes, Gunther have been synonymous with each other for being in the final 2 or final 4 this year of the Royal Rumble, and there's been very subtle build up to this match. Not very overt, but very subtle. It only became overt and in your face in the last couple weeks leading into the show. So I've been wanting to see the match for a long time, and we got here and I thought it was good, but I also thought it was very underwhelming in some ways. Just performance wise, I thought it was underwhelming, but it was still good for what we saw. I'm gonna fast track to the finish because I thought the finish I'm not a big fan of. So Cody Rhodes, he hits a crossroads onto Gunther. Gunther kicks out. Now I'm thinking Cody Rhodes is gonna hit the trifecta. Maybe there's an interference or something. No Ludwig Kaiser, no Bloodline, no interference. Cody Rhodes goes for the crossroads. Gunther gets out of it. Cody Rhodes then goes to the top rope, hits a moonsault. I don't know if Gunther, he tries for the moonsault. Gunther catches him, locks him into the sleeper that he's, seated sleeper. Cody Rhodes counts it as flips over Gunther with his arms still tucked on the mat. Referee counts the 3 and Cody Rhodes win. And it's a clean win over Gunther. Gunther's not a man who gets pinned very often on WWE. Much like Roman Reigns. Not a man who gets pinned very often. When he gets pinned, it's a very big deal. And for Gunther to get pinned by Cody Rhodes, yeah, it's a big deal, but did Gunther really need to get pinned clean in this match? I think when we think about the fact that Nia Jax had all this interference and all this had to happen for Nia Jax to get pinned, but for Gunther, it just took Cody Rhodes. Like, I understand Cody Rhodes is the biggest babyface in the company by proxy. And again, you can argue that he's not. He's second behind Roman. But, man, Gunther getting pinned by Cody Rhodes. I mean, I just feel like it makes the World Heavyweight Championship look de facto number 2. We already knew it was de facto number 2. We already knew it was less than a Universal Championship, but it did the title no favors in this match. And I'm not saying that Cody Rhodes, him getting pinned clean by Gunther would have been much better, but you could throw in whoever his next opponent is as a factor as to why Cody Rhodes lost to Gunther. Gunther is a man who could have used that win way more than Cody did. Cody benefits in no way from winning this match, whereas Gunther could have benefited greatly from getting a pinfall victory over the Universal Champion. You can very easily set up Gunther drops the title, whoever the hell, sometime next year, going into the draft, Gunther goes to SmackDown. You already have Gunther gunning after that Universal Championship because of the proxy of him having pinned a Universal Champion in the last 6 months. You can already market it that way. And the fact that, and yeah, I see it in comments already, Goldberg, and listen, you would have saw me on here fucking fuming if Goldberg interfered in this match. But in a very cathartic way, it's almost like, damn, if I had to choose between the two, I almost would have chose Goldberg interfering and that costing Gunther the match, then Gunther losing clean in the middle of the range of Cody Rhodes. I'm not going to say it hurts Gunther, because I don't think it truly hurts him, but like I said, it didn't help him either. It did the opposite. Liam, how did you feel about this match, the result, the whole 9 yards?
I worry that Cody is getting close to Cena territory with some of the victories that he strings along.
Wanted, though.
That's what they wanted?
I thought that's what we want. I thought like people wanted like the next John Cena and like, someone to beat that.
Well, I say that in the sense of Cena won matches that he didn't need to win. You know what I mean? Like
okay. In that sense, yeah, okay.
Like him beating Brock at Extreme Rules 2012, him just like, it was CM Punk that was leading the storyline against John Laurinaitis, and then Cena just kind of came in and like made it about him versus the Authority out of nowhere. Anyways, not to go down the rabbit hole of those examples, but Cody didn't need to beat Seth at Hell in a Cell 2022 to get the same reaction. Like, just him competing in that match and making it competitive was enough. Him winning that match kind of made me lose some of my what's the word? When you buy into something that's scripted, benefit of disbelief. I forget what the word is. It'll come to me later. The point is, Cody losing this match wouldn't have hurt him as a champion. Like, he lost to Solo, he was pinned by Solo, and then he beat Solo at SummerSlam, and it was a natural progression for him getting his win back. And I don't think Gunther would have been more dominant going back to Raw. Cody would have had a chink in his armor going back to SmackDown. And then we would have Kevin Owens, who failed to capitalize when Cody was wounded at Bash in Berlin, like licking his chops, like ready to he sees blood in the water and he could have pounced. So yeah, I think a little bit of backwards booking here. But again, I'm not putting too much stock in these made up championships, and I know people say all championships are made up. It's pro wrestling, it's scripted, but the trophies aspect. When's the last time you heard the words "to wake trophy"? Exactly. This crown jewel thing it's an experiment that I don't foresee actually holding weight in WWE going forward.
No, and like you said, it is a non-canonical show in many ways, but it will go down in history books that Cody Rhodes has a pinfall victory over Gunther, and I think that's something that just makes me go, okay. Outside of that, I think we all got to ask the question, what's next for Cody Rhodes after this? It's one thing to say, oh, well, next is going to be The Rock or Roman, but that's like WrestleMania season. This is still pre-WrestleMania season right now. We're going into the end of the year. Survivor Series is around the corner. If Cody Rhodes is not included in the War Games match, and I do think there is a possibility that he can be put in there last minute. If Williams' theory works and The Rock is put in, then Cody will be put in as well. Best believe that. But if he is not put into that War Games match, where do you slot Cody? I mean, who is he feuding with? I mean, he's been involved with the Bloodline for the better part of the summer. And if he has no place in that match, well, who's next? Kevin is feuding with Cody. Kevin's feuding with Randy. He just pinned Gunther, so I mean, you can't really run that back because there's no reason to, unless you want Cody to go after the World Heavyweight Championship, but that doesn't really seem logical or likely. Is there anybody on that SmackDown roster that you have lined up to face Cody Rhodes at Survivor Series? I mean, what do you do with him?
No, I don't think Cody's going to be on Survivor Series. I was hearing rumblings today, actually, that Cody's not going to be on the show. And yeah, I think that's fine. Like, Cody's been...
Not having Cody on a major show like Survivor Series?
A major show like Survivor Series.
Bro, it's the big five. Come on, lad. Let's not play semantics. It is the big five.
No. Let's be real. It's not called Survivor Series. It's called Survivor Series War Games. The main point of this show are the War Games matches. And Cody made sense for it last year because he was in the War Games match. The WWE Championship, the main WWE Championship, has not been defended at Survivor Series the past 2 years. Roman wasn't on Survivor Series last year, and then Roman was involved in the War Games match in 2022, and in 2021 we weren't having War Games at that point. Yeah, War Games started in 2022. The main point of Survivor Series right now, for the foreseeable future, is War Games. That premium live event is going to be built around the Bloodline versus the new Bloodline and all that kind of stuff, and then the women's War Games match, whatever that ends up. So no, there's no need to why would you rush someone into the WWE Championship should be a big deal. It should be reserved, challenge. If you're going to challenge for the WWE Championship, you should have to really earn it and not just skyrocket into it because we need a challenger out of nowhere. It's too soon to do Cody and Kevin. That should main event whatever show it ends up on. Which will likely be Saturday night's main event. Have Kevin attack Cody and make him miss Survivor Series.
You want to do it again? Didn't we just get it twice? And Kevin loses a third time?
What did Cody miss?
No, we did Cody and Kevin twice already.
We did it once.
Are you sure? I thought it was twice.
Cody and Kevin at Bash in Berlin. And then Kevin attacked Cody after Bad Blood, and they haven't shared the ring since.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, what was I saying on that? That's how you make this really personal. Cody's badge of honor is that he doesn't miss shows. He never misses shows. He damn well doesn't miss a premium live event. And Kevin being the reason why he's forced to miss Survivor Series, that makes Saturday night's main event feel all the more bigger. And it's going to be taking place in Nassau Coliseum, I want to say.
Yeah.
Island. Big New York market, big fight feel. They want to pump a lot of story into that show. So yeah, I don't subscribe to the idea that Cody missing Survivor Series is the end of the world. Everyone's going to be watching that show for one reason and one reason only, and that's the Bloodline.
All right, I'll give it what you're saying there. You know, he can afford to miss Survivor Series. I think, you know, as long as he's there for the main event in December, you know, all is well. All is well. I'm still not crazy about the prospect of Kevin and Cody again, but, you know, I'll bite. I'll even bite with that.
We got to resolve the story, Tyler. They already set it up.
I know.
And we were buzzing after Bad Blood. We were so excited at the whole like angle happening on social media. That was awesome.
Yeah. I just want my Cody versus Randy, and you know they're just prolonging it. So yeah, but outside of that, that was Crown Jewel. Liam, if you had to wrap this show into a nutshell, what would you say overall? What were your thoughts on it in a nutshell?
It was fine. I always appreciate a stadium show because bigger crowds make it feel like a bigger deal. But man, like I'm beyond ready to move on from the Saudi chapter of WWE. You know, there have been some cool moments at the Saudi shows, but overall they feel like they exist in like a separate universe. Even though they've become more canon in recent years, they still feel a little off to me. And a lot of the things that happened on this show, championship wise, I feel like will be kind of passed to the wayside within a week. Bloodline stuff, obviously, whatever, it's going to be referenced and all, but yeah, kind of a meh show. Nothing bad. Actually, no, some stuff bad. Bloodline, very bad, but nothing that really made me like jump out of my seat. I would say honestly, WWE's had a really strong year. A lot of hits in the pay-per-view department. This is probably bottom 3 for me of the whole year for WWE. And that's not saying it was a bad show. That's just saying that WWE's been knocking out of the park recently, and they've set a gold standard for themselves. No Shelton Benjamin.
Well, you know, Liam took the words right out of my mouth. I thought it was a very okay show. Some questionable decisions, but overall okay. You know, not a show that I feel like you got to rush to go see. I mean, there's no huge title change. There's no huge moments. Even the opening match didn't even feel huge when Roman got pinned by Solo. So if you missed it, I don't think you missed much. The big show is Survivor Series, which we got another 3 weeks out of. So you don't want Saudi people to see wrestling show live, really? I mean, I'm not saying I don't want people in Saudi to see the show. It's just, you know, when it comes to Crown Jewel as a whole, in a vacuum, Crown Jewel is a unnecessary show to have. But, you know, for the people in Saudi Arabia, I'm glad to get to see these shows. So, I'm not saying I don't want the people over. That's a weird way to phrase that question, by the way. I'm not saying I don't want them to have wrestling shows. We're not saying that at all. Before we end this out, every single week over on the Sooplex, we do this segment called Draft Battle. And last week, we had Draft Battle top 5 movies releasing in 2025. And the winner of that week, Sooplex, baby! Yeah! 79% to 21. You know, I was down and out for a minute. You know, I had my one loss, everyone gets one. Everyone gets that one loss. Sooplex gets that one loss, but we're back in the fold, 3-1. Liam, suck it. This week, we are doing Draft Battle, and we're doing it live. Fuck it, we're doing it live. And we are doing top 5 champion versus champion matches. Coming off of Crown Jewel, with 2 champion versus champion matches, I figured what a more poetic way to have a draft battle than with a champion versus champion. There's been many champion versus champion matches in wrestling history, but can me and Liam craft an elite team for our draft? Let's do it. And as always, losers goes first. So Liam, please take it away.
You know, you really had to make me think for this one, Tyler, because I was like, how many champion versus champion matches can I even remember? So we're going to go recency bias on this one, but it was an absolute belter, and it happened just 4 months ago. Will Ospreay versus Swerve Strickland at Forbidden Door. Banger match. Love that Swerve went over. Love that these two got to share the ring on an AEW stage, because I know that they had wrestled before on the indies when they were both like 50 pounds lighter and had very different movesets, and to see the main eventers that they've become since, the heavyweights they've become since, was really cool. So I'm going AEW International Champion at the time, Will Ospreay versus at the time AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland from Forbidden Door 2024.
That was top of my list. Maybe not number one, but it was top of my list. So I'm a little worried, a little salty about that. But you didn't take my number one pick, and that's fine. In my opinion, still to this day, one of the best champion versus champion matches WWE has ever put on. Brock Lesnar versus Daniel Bryan at WWE Survivor Series 2018. I believe it is still one of top three, maybe even the best heel versus heel matches WWE has ever put on. We've seen many Brock Lesnar matches in WWE, and they're all very formulaic. When you have Daniel Bryan come into this match, a Daniel Bryan who is still very fresh off of being retired for 3 years, and, still working off of a bad neck and, a series of concussions that had to decommission him. A lot of fans went into this match excited but very worried for how this is going to go, given Daniel Bryan's past with the neck and the concussions. And he went into this match and he took those German suplexes. And Daniel Bryan is an expert seller. So this man was taking them, but Daniel Bryan was also very excellent at being a prick, because he was outside of the ring running laps, teasing Brock Lesnar. And when it came time for Daniel Bryan to come back, the crowd couldn't help but get behind him and start the yes chants and want to see this man win. And even though he didn't, I thought it was still a fantastic match. Maybe not 5 stars, but still a fantastic match put on by these two. So my number one for the draft battle, Brock Lesnar, Daniel Bryan, Survivor Series 2018.
That's a good shout. I completely forgot that they were both champions in that match, because Bryan had only won the WWE title like a couple days before on SmackDown. It was like a last-minute title change, him beating AJ. I am going to go with SummerSlam, I believe 2015. World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins against United States Champion John Cena. The one when Seth, Jon Stewart interference, a little controversial there, but Seth and Cena were always magic in the ring, especially 2015 Seth, pre-knee injury Seth. That dude was on a different level, and it was also U.S. title John Cena, like arguably the greatest in-ring run of John Cena's career. I thought these two put on a banger together, and it was cool to see Seth be as dominant as he was. Like, damn, U.S. title and WWE title. Look at my boy go.
Okay, I wasn't even thinking about that. John Cena was in that U.S. title reign. It's one of the best U.S., if not, in my opinion, the best U.S. title reign WWE's ever had. And since we're on that topic, I want to snag a match that happened during John Cena's U.S. title reign, and that is John Cena versus Kevin Owens from Elimination Chamber 2015. It was Kevin Owens' debut match on the main roster as the NXT champion. And not only did he have a great match with John Cena, but he beats John Cena. And it was shocking. It was great. It was just a fantastic way they debuted not only a new star, but also the NXT champion on the main roster. So I'm going to go John Cena versus Kevin Owens, Elimination Chamber 2015. And it might be Money in the Bank 2015. Please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but it's one of those.
No, it was the Chamber.
Okay, Chamber was the first. Okay, thank you. So yeah, Elimination Chamber 2015 is my number 2.
That is a great pick, and I'm upset that I didn't think of it. Silly me. I completely forgot. Again, so many titles out here. And yeah, Kevin Owens was NXT champion at the time. Totally valid. I'm going to go recency bias again for my next pick, and another WWE champion versus United States champion. Earlier this year, King and Queen of the Ring, United States champion Logan Paul against WWE champion Cody Rhodes. Say what you will about Logan Paul, but that man took a vertebreaker. He took a vertebreaker in front of a packed stadium live on Peacock, and he had that awesome drone shot. That match was an unironic banger and is still probably top 3 for me of Cody's defenses so far. So, yeah, Cody and Logan, they had a banger of a match together, and I feel good about having it on my list.
That is a really good pick, and my number 1 was a Brock Lesnar match, and I'm going to circle back to that with another Brock Lesnar match. Not only just another Brock Lesnar match, but another Brock Lesnar Survivor Series match. Brock Lesnar versus AJ Styles from Survivor Series 2017. Just the year prior, from Daniel Bryan. I gotta get it right because we're talking about WWE here. Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar had a banger match against then WWE champion AJ Styles, and many will argue about which one was better, and you'll hear differing opinions, but I will always be a advocate for the Bryan match. This one was just as great. AJ Styles was selling great for Brock Lesnar. He was able to put up a really good fight. It is, in my opinion, one of Brock Lesnar's best matches. So, in my opinion, number 3, Brock Lesnar, AJ Styles.
It's another good one. I am going to go with a match that I feel like everyone forgot about, but it's like an indie dream match, and it happened on a WWE pay-per-view, a Big Five nonetheless. Survivor Series 2019, U.S. champion AJ Styles versus North American champion Roderick Strong versus Intercontinental champion Shinsuke Nakamura. I was shocked at how good this match was, which is like, why would I be shocked? These guys dominated the indie circuit, and they have the in-ring style and work rate that I like. But under the confines of a WWE umbrella, especially in the Vince regime, I didn't know how much they were going to be held back. And boy, were they not. They put on a banger, great triple threat match. And yeah, definitely one that I am itching to revisit after just remembering it exists just now.
I might have to revisit it myself too, because that was a good one. My number 4 was a match that was hot-shotted due to delays that happened because of a Crown Jewel show. This was back in 2019 on an episode of SmackDown when it was on Fox. And that was NXT champion Adam Cole versus WWE champion Daniel Bryan. It was an excellent. Well, let me not go that far. It wasn't like a 5-star match or nothing. But they had a very good exhibition. And like I said, this was rushed because there were a lot of talent that were overseas that were late to the show. And they needed something that we could insert right away and send the crowd home happy. And they gave us a dream match of sorts that many didn't think we were going to get. And like I said, it was really good stuff. And it was very surprising because no one expected it to happen on such short notice. So my number 4, Adam Cole, Daniel Bryan, SmackDown 2019, NXT champion versus WWE champion.
It's another good pick. This is hard. This is very hard to round out my 5. I'm gonna go kind of sneaky here, because, and you can void this if you want, Tyler, just because technically on the graphic for this match they're not advertised with their championships. But Supercard of Honor 2022, FTR versus the Briscoes won. The Briscoes went in as ROH World's tag team champions, and FTR were the AAA tag team champions.
I'll count it because they're both champions. I'll count it.
Okay. Because start of an absolutely epic trilogy. I was in attendance for their double dog collar match a couple months later at Death Before Dishonor, or Final Battle. It was Final Battle. Or was it Death Before Dishonor? No. I forget. What was it?
Well, that was the first match. That much I do know. But if it was in Dallas, that was the first match. I was there live for it. It was great.
The first match was Supercard of Honor. Yes. The second match was
Death by Dishonor.
Whatever show happened in Lowell, Massachusetts. Either way, great trilogy. Rest in peace to Jay Briscoe. Shout out Mark Briscoe for holding down the Briscoe legacy. And shout out FTR for being one of the greatest tag teams of all time that, for whatever reason, I feel like we've forgotten to appreciate in recent months and the past year.
They've been iced out the last few months. Really, the last year they've been iced out.
Yeah.
But yeah, really good pick. My number 5 is one not from America, and I believe it's one of the best champion versus champion matches that have happened in the last 5 years, and that is Kazuchika Okada versus Tetsuya Naito in the main event of Wrestle Kingdom 14 Night 2. IWGP Intercontinental Champion Tetsuya Naito versus IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Kazuchika Okada. Double title match. In my opinion, it is one of the greatest matches of the 2020s. And honestly, it's one of the matches that started off the year. And I had the pristine honor of being there in real time to see it go down. It was masterful. It was great. Liam, if you have not seen it, and I feel like you probably have, you gotta. Ooh, that was a nod. You didn't see it.
I have not seen this match.
Damn, you're missing out, brother. We gotta get you on that right away.
I gotta re-up my New Japan World subscription. They were stealing all my yen, Tyler.
Whoa. How many Okada New Japan matches have you seen?
Let's see. Everything he's done with Omega.
Okay.
At least half of his Osprey matches, and I believe there's like 7. Danielson.
Okay.
And Ibushi? Or am I making that up? He wrestled Ibushi.
No. He watched Ibushi the night before. He wrestled Naito, so you're right.
Okay, I've seen him against Ibushi, so not Naito.
You've seen all the mainstream Okada matches in New Japan. That's what it sounds like.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'll have to put you onto some other Okada matches because it's a shame. There's a lot of people who watch AEW who may not have seen his run in New Japan that are probably thinking, what is the hype around this guy? Because Okada has not had a single barn burner in AEW. Not a single one. And I'm sure there's going to be people who try to go tooth and nail with me in the comments, but if you've seen his New Japan run, you know that we are getting a bit of a watered-down version of Okada. It is a heel Okada that we have never seen before, but it is not an Okada that I recall ever seeing in my 5-7 years watching the product. But Okada versus Naito is one of the glimmers of Okada at his best, and Okada being one of the greatest of all time. So my number 5, Kazuchika Okada, Tetsuya Naito, IWGP IC versus IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. Ladies and gentlemen, that is our draft battle for this week. Comment down below. Let me know who did you guys think won. Just comment down below Sooplex right now. You already know he's taking this one home. And with that being said, we're going to wrap things up. This was Superplex Episode 7, a live edition of Superplex Episode 7. I thought we had a great time. Hopefully you guys had a great time in the live chat. And if you're watching this back on playback, hope you guys had a great time listening in. Me and Liam, we're out of here. Because we did a live episode, there really is not going to be an Episode 8 on Monday. Expect it to happen next Monday. Not this Monday coming up, but the following Monday, okay? So, that being said, hope you have a great night. Get some rest. I know some of you are still sleeping off those Halloween parties, and you're still sleeping off all the sugar you've been inducing. And, you know, it's fine. Just don't go into cardiac arrest, and make sure you go to the gym afterwards. All right, guys, it's been real. Me and Liam will talk to you guys very, very soon. Have a good night, and peace out.